Welcome everyone, it's Michael DeHaan from Care to Grow. I've got Ingrid Galloway with me today, so welcome Ingrid. Happy to have you.
Thank you, Michael.
So I'll introduce Ingrid in a moment. What I just wanted to share, I suppose, is that Ingrid's a part of the Women's Empowerment Series, which I'm interviewing 10 amazing women around Australia, and it's very much around the storytelling. It's around them telling their stories, around how they've used their voice and visibility to create their own future, to create the best version of themselves. And really happy to have you, Ingrid, as a part of this. I'd like to do a quick intro. So Ingrid Galloway is the founder of Kayagan. I'm going to say it wrong, but it means heaven.
Kayangan.
So it means heaven, which I certainly can understand. And she runs a wellness clinic in Sydney. Focus has always been around stress, relaxation and relationships, which I think is so important now, especially what we're going through. So congratulations on what you're doing there. You've been a relationship coach for 11 years. And it's very much around supporting and healing for many stressed people in regard to broken hearts, you know, being single and relationships, and taking that back to that loving space. So again, just a warm welcome, Ingrid, and thanks for being a part of this series.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yes, I'm really, honored to be part of this series because my mission is to help others in ways that I can, especially through my passion. So, yeah, thank you.
And I wanted to share, I've known Ingrid, I'm going to say for 18 months now. So we met at a networking event, and Ingrid does the healing, which is a part of, I suppose, what I need for my clients in regard to financial well-being. And when I dug a bit deeper with Ingrid, I found out some stories about how she created her own pathway, and hence getting to understand Ingrid at a deeper level, I asked her to come on this show, which I'll get Ingrid to share in a moment. But I wanted just to start off, if I could, and just ask you to tell us a bit about yourself.
Right. So I came from our neighboring country, Indonesia, and I moved here when I was 21. So I came from a very religious family.
Yep.
And unfortunately, what I have learned from my preconditioning was there's a lot of shame, guilt. Yeah, so I've been brought up with a lot of those with my culture and religion. I mean, I believe that my parents tried to love me the way they could. There's no pointing and blaming, but that's what I could observe, and also how not to communicate with my partner. Simply by observing how my parents interacted with each other.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I moved to Australia at the tender age of 21 to get married to my first husband. We were married for 10 years. And unfortunately, that was an abusive relationship. So I left after 3 attempts. And then after that, I started my self-healing journey. So I went to various self-development seminars, asked for help from psychologists or various therapists, and also went back to college to study counseling and life coaching. And straight away, I knew that I would be a coach rather than be a counselor, and my niche would be in relationship, because I am really compassionate and passionate to help other people that is in a similar sort of boat. Either they're brokenhearted, they lost hope, or they're in a loving relationship but wanting to sort of like reconnect and strengthen their relationship. Because now I managed to have the second husband, hopefully my forever husband. And we just celebrated our 12 years anniversary.
Wow.
And we have 2 kids together. So yeah, been like hitting rock bottom, but then I managed to pick myself up to now. I'm quite content of where I am. So
yeah, thank you. And I suppose before we talk about how you use your voice and visibility, and I know you've got a bit of a story there about taking a different pathway in regard to maybe what your family might have wanted, but just when that we're going through COVID at the moment, and I know that there is a lot of stress and relationship issues out there. So what are you seeing through COVID, or what are you experiencing?
Yes, so I believe that everything in life, including in this COVID era, has 2 sides. Like a magnet, So we have the negative and we have the positive. So we have the drawbacks and we have the benefits. For example, the drawbacks are I wasn't allowed to practice for a moment. So there's loss of income for a moment. And then I'm a big hugger and I'm not allowed to hug anyone except my own household. And for a hugger, it's like losing your phone charger. that's my drug. Like I'm losing my drug. natural
it's only
drug.
on one bar, so you start panicking. Yeah.
Exactly. And then another drawback, I lost 4 aunties within 3 weeks thanks to COVID, right? So I felt like I've been hit by 4 max.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And I'm not allowed to travel to go back to my family in Indonesia to mourn together. Damn you, COVID, right? So those are drawbacks. But I learned how to move my relationship coaching business online, which means that I'm no longer limited to location to earn money and to heal people. Yeah. Secondly, with my spa therapy business, eventually I was allowed again to touch people again, but I'm not taking as many clients, so I'm not wrecking my body. So there's a benefit to my body as well. Unlike pre-COVID era, I work my butt off and kill my body at the same time. And then another benefit, I have time to hug my husband and my girls more, right? Yeah, exactly. And then I have more time to study, like studying social media, my own inner work, retreat. That's the new thing that I'm studying right now, which will benefit me and my business in the future. Yes. And the earth, lastly, the earth that I love is healing, because most people stay at home, less travel, less factory production, meaning less pollution. So you see, in the end, drawbacks versus benefits equals balance. So now I no longer have charge around this matter, which is great.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. What I wanted to do is, I think I briefly said at the beginning that you've probably got a different journey than maybe what your family had considered for you. So again, this is this sort of voice and visibility, and I'd be really interested in you sharing that with me in regard to what that looked like and some, the journey that you took on in regard to that.
Yeah, certainly. So I will share my past experience with my first marriage. So during my first marriage, I let my ex continue to abuse me, most verbally and emotionally, because I felt guilty of my past mistakes. And he always said that, why don't you just, work full time for someone else? But then in my heart, because it's safe, it's safe. You know what your income, regular income, it's secure. But then in my heart, like, I want to be my own boss. Yeah. Those are the things. And then with that relationship, I gave my power away simply because I felt shame and guilt for whatever mistakes that I made in the past. And then when I changed and I started to assert myself, he didn't like it. But in the end, I left the union and I regained my freedom to be who I really am. The same thing with my mom, for example. She always tried to instill guilt and shame of my way of living because it doesn't align with her way and her belief. I tried to voice out who I am the best that I could, which has been challenging because our culture and religion always saying that you have to respect your elders and your parents. Yeah. So instead of empowering, I mean, we're talking about, women empowering topic here, I get the adverse effect from this conditioning. So I guess I'm learning now how to condition my girls, trying not to fall back to what I have learned in the past, from that sort of energy. I'm trying. Mind you, I'm only human, so I may not be 100% there yet, but I'm trying. And of course, you know, as a child, as a human being, you just want to be accepted and loved unconditionally.
Yes.
Well, she still couldn't accept that. I can't change her and what she wants to believe, but I continue living congruently to my inner voice. So you need to listen to your inner voice as well.
Good advice.
Yeah, and a lot of people could hear and they could see that I love myself and I'm proud of who I become. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I think that's so important to actually be congruent with who you are and to live your own life. So living someone else's life, you'll never feel complete.
That's right.
I love what you're doing, and thank you for again sharing that story. And ideally, that inspires other women to really understand where they want to go, what their journey is, and it is all about them. And then having the confidence to have that sort of voice and how you show up visibility wise and to make that happen. So again, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask a question. So what advice would you give Ingrid Galloway, who's 20 years younger than you today?
Sure. Number one, believe in yourself, that you are capable of achieving great things in your own way. Right? Yeah. And then number two, you can't make everybody happy, but that's okay. As long as you believe that you have done your best, you know, in your actions without hurting others. So be considerate towards others, but, you know, understand that it's impossible to make everybody happy. Otherwise, you end up being a yes man all the way through, and then that will be very, very heavy on you.
Yeah.
Yes. And then lastly, remove shame and guilt from your vocabulary because it won't empower you. Yeah,
that's some great tips there, Ingrid. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to put you on the spot a bit. For young women that might want to connect with you and I suppose even just have a catch up with you to understand you a bit better and some inspiration that you've even shared with us today. Would you be able to do that? Will you open yourself to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Great. In fact, for your audience, I will give 5 complimentary, coaching, 1 hour coaching. So first in, best dressed. For 5 of your viewers, I'm willing to give 1 hour coaching per person. Yeah, so I can help in the ways that I can.
No, that's great. I appreciate that. So that's very special. Thank you very much. And I'll get those details from you, and I'll share that in regard to people taking that up. So I think there might be a rush.
First and best dressed people.
So again, thank you, Ingrid, for sharing your story, sharing a bit about your past and how you overcame some obstacles. And I think you got some really wise learnings there. So again, thank you very much sharing your story as a part of this Women's Empowerment series, very much around voice and visibility and storytelling. And again, it was a privilege to have you on this series, Ingrid. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Hopefully I can inspire somebody.
You certainly can. Thank you.
Thank you.